And all right, so apologize for that.
Oh,
Uh,
it's too much energy.
oh, too much energy for the camera. Yeah. Um, so yeah, talking about the gladiators.
Mm,
Me when I grew up, I stopped watching sports generally because I preferred playing it myself.
mm,
So because of that, I became kind of blinded to everything going on with any kind of sport.
yeah.
And now that I'm working with Scott, I'm falling back into we were in our honeymoon, beginning of June,
Mhm.
and we watched the Golden Knights playing
Yeah.
at the bar in our hotel, and
Oh,
it was fun to watch.
yeah.
So but it's crazy to think about how we do treat especially the athletes. They work so hard in order to get to a point, and then they're just seen as perfect.
Yeah.
And if any kind of chink in the armor, I do agree with you. They see it as a black mark, black stain on them. Um, before we wrap this up, I did want to talk to you about a book that you wrote.
Mhm.
I'm not okay today,
Yeah.
right? What brought the inspiration to that?
Um, the book in itself, I wanted to write a book. I wanted to start working more like creating children's books and speaking about things that I dealt with as a kid growing up. And when sat down to write this first one, I was like, what is something that that I've dealt with, that I understand, that I could remember as being being a kid that I struggled with, and that was being able to share my feelings with the adults. There was a phrase that I grew up hearing, that children were meant to be seen and not heard. You know, well, if that's the case, then you become a kid that internalizes your feelings, and then you grow up to be an adult that internalizes their feelings. But then you want your children to share your feelings with you, but how can they learn from a person that internalizes the feelings themselves? So to be able to be a parent now and remember what it feels like to be as a kid, I kind of put those two things together, and I started thinking of this idea of, you know, it's hard for adults to share their feelings, and a lot of times we ignore them, we push them aside. We make ourselves busy with work. Some people drink, some people smoke, anything to avoid these emotions, these feelings. And unfortunately, feelings and emotions are something that you have to go through, and you can't go around. You could bury them, but eventually they're going to come back up. So being able to share your feelings and your emotions, especially with the loved ones that you have, in a place where you feel that you can share it, when people are going to listen to you and just be there for you, it's hard, especially in this day and age, where nobody really wants to see that, especially on social media. It makes people uncomfortable, and it's understandably so. But you do have those people that are close to you that you can talk to, and the idea came up about this little boy waking up just feeling out of it and not understanding why. And because they're children, their mind starts to spiral. And I love writing poetry growing up, so I figured I wrote this poem. It took about 22 minutes to write it, but it was so poignant and so important. And I just read it like 22 times back to back, just reading it over and over again. And I had the idea in my head. It took me 5 months to illustrate it, and then we finally got it published. We got it released. We started taking it out to schools, to those conventions, and it started making a huge difference. And we're now trying to get it out into more stores. We translated it into Spanish already, and it rhymes in Spanish as well. I didn't have to change any of the drawings, and we already started working on a few more other books. And one of the ones that I'm working on is about these little characters that I like to call the Little Misfits, which are the versions of these prints and all the art that I do, because this speaks about that same childhood wonderment that all these players had since they were kids, when they were playing hockey. As kids, they're running around, playing the sport that they love because it's fun, and they still do it. You see it in the passion and Stone's face when somebody scores. It was like just the happiness in them. That still childlike wonderment is there. And to me, I'm not really doing portraits of the players. It's that spirit of that inner kid inside of them that I created these. And this is something that, like, another book that I wanted to create, and it was more Vegas themed, and it was the Little Misfits. And I'm still working on a storyline of that, but it's about kids around the neighborhood that may not have all the equipment for the best hockey gear, that little that Mighty Ducks kind of story. I want to create something like that, almost like a series for the city. But to do something like that, I want to be able to work, whether the city, whether Clark County, school district, or including the Knights to make that happen. Because as a city, I think they've brought this love for hockey here that is expanding more than anybody could have imagined, and now a lot more kids in the desert are playing hockey.
And who would have known that here in the sand capital of the United States, where we got the Stanley Cup champions, right?
It's one of those things where like when they were saying in the first season, like Cup in 6, I just remember watching it. I'm like, I'd have preferred it in 1, but it felt different from the beginning of the season. It just felt different. And the funny part was that last season I actually stopped drawing. I didn't draw anything for last season, and because I was focusing on the other stuff that I was doing, a lot of the traveling, and I just remember not really paying attention to the entire season, and we didn't do that well. And for some reason, this beginning of this season, I was like, I just want to start drawing again. And it felt great being able to connect with everybody that I've met throughout the years, and everything that has happened has actually changed my life. Like in the aspect to where I was able to buy a house. I was able to, start my whole new life in one way or another because of the Knights. I was already doing this full time, but it wasn't until this came in that just locked it in and just got everything going. And it was because of the city. And, because of the city, because of the team, and because of everybody that I've met that supports this team. And, man, there's a lot of people we saw the parade.
I didn't get to witness the parade myself.
I saw it on TV.
Yeah, we had to see it on TV because we heard it was going to be just like mayhem, and
I think
it
was
a lot of supporters there.
Yeah,
and it's great to see the community finally gathering for something positive. For us, for me and my wife personally, that's the whole reason we started this podcast, in order to bring up some lesser known small business owners, artists that are either locally here or here in Nevada, and that's our mission in order to be able to get that back up. COVID hurt a lot of people. We try to support my father-in-law. He had his own store, and we could tell where people were struggling, and this was our way to try to at least get the help out there. And I commend you. You're definitely an inspiration, and I admire your conviction to be able to spread the word out and being able to just talk about the mental health issues that not only affects not just our sports players, but everyone in general. Yeah. Everyone has issues, and it's commendable to just tell them, go get help. That's the best advice that you can give anybody. And whether they want to take the help or not, you just hope for the best that they take it and go with it.
That's all you can do. Honestly.
And Leslie, you got any upcoming projects coming up?
We do have a very special event coming up in August. I have been working on what I call the little misfit trading cards, and just like the regular sports cards, I wanted to create something for these little characters that represent the childlike wonderment, like I said, of the players. And I started doing them a couple of seasons ago, and I started doing a lot of players that are already gone, and a lot of people were asking this season. It was like, well, we want the new ones, we want the new characters, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do the entire team this time, and actually almost do like a wax pack kind of thing. And the artwork's already being created, so we're gonna try to release it real soon. We have more details coming out on that as we get closer to it, because we have a lot of special things that are gonna come out. But I'm super excited about that.
And where could your avid fans go to find these?
For right now, if you follow me on social media, we're going to be posting exactly where we're going to do it. And once I get the dates and everything locked in and the exact artwork done, I'll let you guys know.
Oh, definitely. And we'll make sure to share that along with everybody else's too.
Thank you.
And, we're glad to have you here. I know that you did go to high school here.
Yeah.
And, great.
Shout out to the Cowboys, Chaparral.
Yeah. Chaparral High School, right?
Yeah.
You plan on doing anything with them anytime soon?
So it's funny. When I started working with a lot of the schools, especially with the books and everything that was going on, I started going out there to read the books and do the signings. I do a lot of murals around school that I've done the little night character, and I've done all these elementary schools. I've done all these high schools, and the one school that I went to has never called me. So I was like, so I'd love to be able to go back down there and be able to do something with that school, because during that time when I was in school, I didn't think that I was gonna be in this direction. I thought I was gonna play soccer because I had a scholarship to go play soccer until I screwed up my ankle, like the last year of high school, and art was always there. So it just kind of, like I said, everything happens for a reason in my life, and being able to now go back to any of the schools. I've gone to my junior highs in California and stuff like that, but being able to go to Chaparral would be amazing. I haven't. My nephews go to that school, and I don't even get to be there yet.
Hey, maybe you could get your nephews to try to convince the dean, right?
I know. Let me back in. I promise I'm better than I used to be.
Yeah, as a student or
yeah, as a student.
Well, some of us feel like we got to go back to school every once in a while, right?
Oh man, I mean, it's always a learning thing.
See, and lastly, my wife, I asked her, I showed her your art. She's an artist herself, but she goes more towards the one she prefers to do is pin-up Disney princesses.
Oh my god, yeah.
And so when we were doing the last show at the Samstown Sports Cars, Toys, and Collectibles, what we were doing is I was taking the photos, I was sending it over to her, and she was doing quite a few backgrounds to kind of just drop the people into there. Scott actually had a photo of him fighting Darth Vader, and I always blank out the planet they were fighting in that lava planet.
Oh yeah.
But it looked like he was right in there. You see the red in the background in front of him. The light was just perfect. And I asked her, from one, not necessarily a practicing artist, but she has the itch to another. She asked, why did you choose caricatures over the cheaty style that is going on a lot more, is going around more often now?
I think what it is that I grew up as a 90s kid. So, I grew up with, with Bugs Bunny. I grew up, with anime. I consider my style of art called like cluster pop, because I put all these things that I grew up in pop culture, which is street art, graffiti, tattoo art, surrealism, pop art, anime, traditional American animation. And if you put that all in a blender, you kind of get a mixture of my stuff. Whether it be the way that things flow, almost in like a graffiti kind of feel, but at the same time it's cartoony, but it has the fat outline of a traditional American tattoo. It's like it's all a mixture of everything that I've done, just kind of mixed into one. And it's like and I had this magazine actually, like, what would you call your style? Because some people are like, it's surrealist, this and that, and I'm like, is pop surrealist? I'm like, no, it's just a cluster pop of everything. I said the other word, but then I'm like, cluster pop, that'll work better.
Cluster pop.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to start pushing that around then,
I've been trying to.
We're going to start seeing some tattoo artists too, right, with some cluster pop?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I tattooed for 10 years.
Oh.
So it was like, and I worked for Vince Neil of Motley Crue on the Strip. So we opened up this tattoo shop, and and I was there. I tattooed before that at a couple other shops in town at Apprentice. And like I said, it was one of those practices that led me, taught me to do the fatter outlines, the clean outlines, and that's what I love doing, that almost that caricature style of it, but not too much of just one thing, just a mixture of everything else. Because I was that kid in high school that was like, it was too punk for the to metal kids, too metal for the to the punk kids, too hip hop for like this. So I was just like, I don't fit anywhere, but I like everything. And I think that a lot of people, especially in my generation, grew up that same way. It's like, we're not just one thing. That's kind of boring at that point. So back then, I was the odd man out, but now it's like, that's just what we are. We're just a mixture of, different things. To have a kid that came from the hood, all of a sudden just obsessed with hockey, is completely different from what people expected me to be. It's like being able to do people see me in the streets and expect me to do a certain kind of art, and then all of a sudden they see my art, and most of the times at Comic Cons, people are like, oh, where's the girl that drew it? And I'm like, that's actually me. And it's actually the funniest part, because some of the artists with the biggest like cute little like brands and stuff like that are friends of mine. Like, they're just graffiti guys that do that for a living, and it's kind of fun to now be a part of that world as well.
Oh, It was fun diving into your head.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you coming with us. I hope to have you on our show again sometime.
No, definitely. And like I said, we have everything coming up, and with Samstown coming up, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, Samstown, definitely going to be able to see Juan Muniz and Samstown Sports Cars, Toys, and Collectibles this August. Wow.
Yep.
I was about to say September, too. I was going to say August, and then I was going to say September at the same time. But, it's going to be a great show. I'm expecting a lot of a good turnaround. And we're definitely going to be talking to Scott here later today about that show. So I definitely appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us. We will be posting all of his social media contact in our description. Please make sure to like and follow his all of his art. Support the local artists. Support local vendors. That's our mission for our show. And as always, please make sure that you're polite to each other. You respect each other, and you guys got nobody else but each other. Thanks a lot.